View from the Gutters Emerald City Comic-Con Report 2015. Welcome to Emerald City 2015 Con Review. I'm Andrew Chard.
I'm Joe Preti.
I'm Tobiah Panshin.
I'm Kayleigh Fleeman.
And I'm Kirbotron.
Kirbotron 2000.
6000. Tron?
2002?
2000. It's 2007, Kirby. Come on.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we just got back from Emerald City yesterday, and we're going to talk about the Comic-Con from this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I think Kayleigh does.
Oh my God, why do you do this? So I went all 3 days.
Yeah. Pro status.
Yeah. I really enjoy Emerald City. It's big. It's got a lot of great talent there. It's just cool. It's cool to hang out with the people that you know from the area and connect with people who share the same passion as you and stuff. My biggest disappointment this year was that there were a lot less books, like actual physical comic books.
Really?
I was talking to one girl. We were at the Things from Another World booth, and she was just like, does it seem like the pickings are really slim this year? Like, and we started talking about it. She's like, yeah, last year you couldn't sneeze without finding another cool comic that you would like, but this year it's just kind of whatever. And I definitely spent more money on prints than I did anything else.
Yeah, there were a ton of good prints this year.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, like, Artist's Alley was just, like, a non-stop of every booth. Like, well, here's all my money, and now the rest of it's gone. I've gone 2 feet. It was insane. There were so many good prints this year. I guess if you, like, counted the number of booths that were selling comics this year over last year, it probably was smaller.
No.
But Mannix and I spent all day Sunday recording an episode of an upcoming show, and we found so many books, but it's like singles, like we found a lot of singles, but there weren't a lot of trade places this year.
There weren't as many as last year.
There were a lot of places selling single issues, and normally there's like 2 or 3 booths that are selling trades cheap.
Yeah.
And normally I pick up like 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I did not pick up any this year because it seemed like there was only really one. No, there were 2 places that were selling trades. One was just selling like newer stuff, and one was selling older stuff, but it was kind of, the selection wasn't nearly as good.
Yeah, I remember walking by one place that was selling them, and it was only like maybe 2 bookshelves full. Like, it was not very much stuff.
Yeah, it was just
there
a very
was
little
a place though that was like lots of bookshelves, and it was like 50% off, like everything.
There were a few other places that were doing 50% off that I found only after looking through. I mean, there used to be blocks and blocks of them. I only found 5 or 6 selling trades. But I mean, it's I wonder how much of that had to do with just we're getting ready to have another Avengers movie come out, so back issues are going to be really in vogue, and like you've got people selling like the rated comics and stuff, like the ones that are actual
graded
ones. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so CGC was there again.
But yeah, I agree. There was not. It's funny because I really had a great con this year, but I kept thinking anything I missed here, I'll just look for at Rose City, because I had a lot of fun at Rose City last year, and I'm definitely going again this year.
Yeah, it seems like I didn't get to go to Rose City with you guys, but it seems like it's kind of what Emerald City was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I would say more like 6 or 7.
Because Emerald City's gotten fucking huge.
It has.
And it's going to be 4 days next year, and they're moving events to like other locations.
Yeah, which I'm really not happy about.
Well, it's how they do PAX and stuff, but basically like the convention center's full.
Right, it is. And unfortunately that means it's like, oh, I want to go see this panel. I have to leave like 30 minutes ahead of time to get to the place where the panel is.
Yeah.
It means like there's less show to see if you're only there for like 1 day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Like, to be honest, to keep up with the demand for PAX and Comic-Con just increasing in size every year, the convention center kind of needs to expand.
Yeah, which is
that's really tough.
How do you find space for that in a city the size of Seattle? Like, they can't just be like, oh, well, we're going to knock down the skyscraper that's next door and build more convention center.
No, I mean, I would assume you would have to figure out some way to build up. Yeah, but I don't even know if that's like code available. So but I think that's going to be a real conflict.
Well, it'll just,
Seattle.
There's no reason to do that because right now the situation they have is kind of an everybody wins. And when I say everybody wins, I mean business owners, because it's spilling out into the surrounding movie theaters and hotels and stuff. And it's getting people on the street, and people on the street get hungry and they go into local restaurants and eat and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So like the one nice thing about the Seattle convention or the Washington Convention Center is that it is pretty centrally located. You're only a few blocks from Capitol Hill, which has a lot of really cool local places,
which did a lot of the like after events and stuff.
Yeah, so
you're 6 blocks from Pike's Place Market.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a give and take thing. I honestly don't think. I think. As much as I would like to see Emerald City's Day about the same, because I didn't feel like this year it was that much bigger than last year.
No.
I felt like they were
better, I think.
Yeah.
There was,
And I think that by offering the same amount of passes, but spreading them out over 4 days, they'll ease that congestion problem even further. And I think that's the smart way to do it.
Hopefully.
And so, or maybe offer, just a couple hundred more or whatever. But I think Emerald City does it well, because I think the size it was this year was perfect.
Well, it was still it was huge, but it was still manageable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was definitely. I fought through some crowds sometimes. Yeah, but I wasn't like sardine canned into any room.
No,
ever.
And the convention center is set up in a way so that if one escalator is filled, you can take this little back way and get to another escalator, which will still be busy, but not nearly as. And if you kind of I've been going to Emerald City for years, so I know you never want to go and eat around 11:30 to 1:30. Wait until about 2 or 3, and then you'll be starving, but the line won't be nearly as long. Just shit like that.
Eat a late breakfast.
Yeah,
I
pack some granola bars,
beef jerky because it's high in protein.
Mm-hmm. Make some trail mix.
Yep.
So, Kayleigh, did you see any cool panels, or did you talk to any creators?
I talked to. I totally geeked out in front of the creator of Namesake because I was just really awkward, and I was trying to talk to her, and I was frazzled, and it was early in the morning, and I didn't have any coffee for all of the convention.
What? And why?
Because I couldn't get to it, and I get impatient.
Seattle, you couldn't find any coffee.
Well, no, because I hate waiting for things. That's my number one pet peeve. If there's a line at a restaurant, and they're like, oh, it's 15 minutes to a table. It's well, I'm going somewhere else. I'm a very impatient person.
This is how Kayleigh starved to death in town with one restaurant.
Yeah. So I talked to her, and I was like, oh, hey, I've been trying to pitch your book on the show that I do, from time to time, yada yada yada, and I was just super awkward, and I think we're both at the end of it just one of us needs to leave.
It's probably you, because this is where my booth is.
But I'm sure it wasn't as bad as I'm making out in my mind, but I just felt really awkward.
Now I wish I had been there to see that. It's my favorite thing at conventions is to watch awkward interactions.
Oh my God.
Which is why he's going to hate this, but anytime I go to the convention with Monty Pell, it's the greatest thing ever, because Monty will talk to anyone, and he works at a comic book store. This should not be difficult, but anytime he meets a creator, he just doesn't know how words work anymore and cannot construct a sentence.
It's interesting.
It's adorable.
Because as I've been going to Emerald City in subsequent years since we've been doing the podcast, and I've actually had something to talk to creators about, oh, I do this show, we talked about your work, or I talked about this guy, I found it getting easier and easier and easier to approach these people and talk to them and have meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
Joe and I talked to Anthony Johnston, who talked about a couple of his books in recent months, and he remembered our podcast, and we had a really great conversation with him.
Yeah, like 10, 12 minutes to him and Justin Greenwood.
Yeah. Of The Fuse and Stumptown Volume 3.
Yeah, and 4.
Oh, man,
And
he
4.
was delightful
He really
to
was.
listen to. I want him to tell me bedtime stories.
But no, it's great. And I mean, like, I felt like really, like, we talked to Matt Kent, who I fucking was like, you're awesome. Did I say that you're awesome?
The hell out.
I did, because Matt Kent,
It's awesome.
It was
But
awesome.
I mean, even then, like, I remember meeting Jamie Hernandez, who's Love and Rockets. Is a very, very important book to me. And just, like, not having anything to like, not knowing where to begin with that. And since I agree with Toby, like, I could go to Matt Kent and be like, we really loved your book on the show I do, like, I really think that it's because I had talked about it with you guys. Like, I knew the things that I liked. I knew how to kind of phrase that, because I could just kind of talk about the way, like, I could just remember shit from my pitch or whatever. But it's still, like, it's crazy to meet somebody like that. It's just, you can only say, the shit you're doing I have never seen before, and it blows my mind. And, like, because it's so much more than that, right? It's like, books move us, and art moves us. And when you meet the people that's responsible for that art, you're just kind of like, how do I say this without sounding like a lunatic?
Yeah.
Well, for me, like, talking to like bigger creators is so much easier, because I have this sort of philosophy of, I'm not the worst thing to happen to them today.
Yeah.
If I stumble over my words and I'm a little awkward, it's not going to be terrible. But
someone has asked them to draw a woman pushed down into a pile of glue earlier, so
yeah, probably.
we're fine.
But talking to smaller creators, I'm just, it's weird, because in a way you're almost peers, and you're just like, I don't know how to interact with you in a way that's not like overtly fanish, because you're not used to that. And, it's weird.
Especially creators that are younger than me now that I'm getting old. That never used to happen. Like, it was very rare for me to be at a Comic-Con and meet, like, really young creators. But now there are definitely creators out there in comic books that are younger than me, like, easily. Because I started going to Comic-Con, I was probably, like, 22, maybe. So it was just like, I was probably the age of, like, the youngest people making comics.
Well, and the other thing I find is that, like, with Matt Kent, I think one of the reasons I felt a little more awkward is because he's doing sketches, so he can't really have a conversation with you. Because, like, I had a great conversation with Xander Cannon, we had a great conversation with Anthony Johnston and Justin Greenwood, and, like, Mark Waid. I've had great conversations with Mike Dringenberg, Mike Allred, because they weren't doing something else, and so we could actually have, like, a little chat. I met Mateo Scalera, then I got him to sign Black Science. It was actually really funny, because I actually bought it from the Image booth, and I took it to Mateo Scalera, and he was doing a commission, so he didn't really have time to talk. And I was like, well, thank you, your book is beautiful. And I took it to Rick Remender, who was literally right across the aisle from him. And he's like, you didn't buy this from that son of a bitch Scalera, did you? No, I bought it from the Image book so it would be even and neither one of you could use it against me. Because Remender is he's very funny and very, like, gregarious.
Yeah.
And
he was very tan this year. Did you notice that?
He was super tan.
He was really
super
tan.
Especially because I was hearing him talk to somebody about how when he was writing, like, everything in the fucking known universe, and about he would, like, write and then take, like, he would, like, write for 5 hours a day and then spend an hour doing something and then 2 hours with his family and then an hour weeping on the floor in his workroom, and then so
when does he have time to go outside? That's my question. He might write outside now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's got, like, a solarium or something. But
everyone should have a solarium.
Yeah.
It's odd for me because, like, I wonder if that has something to do with it. I wonder if it's about, like, actually being able to kind of be like, hey, this and all this and then this. And
well, yeah, I talked about, in the past, I've talked about the fact that, like, the first time I met Remender, I was telling him, I just read all of Fear Agent. Like, I really liked it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, how does it read as a trade? Like, he asked me a question about his book, and I was unprepared to answer it because I was, like, wasn't used to thinking about comics in that way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so now, even though it's not, like, often I won't like open the conversation and be like, oh, hey, I do this podcast and I talked about your book. Because sometimes I haven't talked about the creator's book at all. And I'm just excited to see them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, I really love your stuff. Like, it's so cool. But now if they ask me a question about their book, I'm not as flustered. I'm not like, ah. But, because that's basically what I said to Remender, more or less. But now, yeah, I just like, I think about comics differently. So it's fun to talk to them, and I know more of what they do now too, because I'm so much more caught up on comics than when I first started going. Even though I was working in a comic book store then, it was just like I know more now.
And I wonder how much of it is just that some people are better at interacting with other people than it's like, you know, we've read multiple stories by people in the comics industry that are like, I don't have very good social skills. I'm socially awkward. Other people like frighten me. That's why I do this thing. And so I think there are creators that go to a con and they want to engage with people. I think there are creators that go to a con that like are there because it's their bread and butter and it's how they make money. And I think there are creators that go to a con because it's kind of expected of them, but they have absolutely maybe it's their first big con and they're overwhelmed or like whatever. But I think that...
Well, it has to grate on you, man.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, God,
most of the time I hear that creator's a dick story, I'm like, well, you don't know who he just talked to.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it could be the worst fan ever.
I used to go to conventions with my dad all the time, my mom and my dad, and my dad always hated it because we got to go, like, as a kid, I got to run around and see everything. And you were stuck in a booth for 12 hours a day, 3 days in a row. And I was talking to somebody about it, and I made the analogy, it's like being stuck in an airplane for 3 days, and the person next to you will not stop talking. And the second that they get up, somebody else comes and sits down and has the exact same conversation that person just had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again. Like, it's talking to people, saying the same things over and over again.
Andrew Hussey hasn't
nonstop.
come back yet to Emerald City. That man, I remember, I think I talked about this on our con report that year. That man looked haunted. Like, seriously. And I mean, it's a hell of a thing to just sit there. I'm always amazed because this is the third year in a row I think I've gone and talked to Brandon Graham, and the man is always in such excellent spirits.
Dude, that guy is so awesome.
So like easygoing. He never makes you feel like you've interrupted him, or he never makes you feel like whatever. He's just sitting there sketching in his pad, and it's like he wants to engage with you. He wants to talk to you, and I think if I had to spend 3 days dealing with people, I've gotten a lot better, but people like I used to be. Fuck, that's murder. I would just murder people. Like, no way would I be able to deal with that.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of work. But the sense that I get is that the creators, it's worth it. Like, it is a good feeling at the end of the day to be able to interact with your fans and really viscerally get that sense of like, this is how I'm affecting people.
Yeah, especially since I have to imagine that most of the experiences you have with people are overwhelmingly positive.
And everybody seems to say that Emerald City is one of the best cons. Like, they love coming out here. Everybody's so friendly. Like, it's a breath of fresh air. Which kind of makes me wonder what's going on at other cons.
Yeah,
they probably get a lot of, like, we saw guys with, like, rolly things and stuff with, like, their single issues, like...
rolling suitcases just like full of issues.
Sign 50 issues for me, please.
Well, and I think San Diego has largely become a meat market. It's just like,
well, San Diego, it's all about the media.
Yeah,
well, and they
movies,
shove the
TV
artists.
shows.
They shove the artists way in the back, and there's like no room in Artist Alley to get.
Yeah, it's just really, it's all about the spectacle of it. I really think that San Diego Comic-Con is is only ever steps away from just being a crazy riot. It's like people go just to go now. Not, I think it's really kind of lost its connection with this kind of, the thing I love about Emerald City year after year after year is that it feels special. You're there in the atrium and like 3 black cats have just passed you and there's a Miss Marvel over there. And it's like, everybody feels very happy to be there. You know, everybody feels, it feels like a special place. It doesn't feel like everybody's here just to get the exclusives and the fucking merch and blah, blah, blah. It's like,
yeah, it's, I mean, it is starting to worry me because it's going a little bit in that direction.
Yeah.
And there's 2 things that I talked to a couple of my friends about the con that were up there, that they go every year as well. They're all shop customers at Olympic Cards and Comics. Actually, they still shop there. I just don't work there anymore. But they were basically saying, like, one thing that they were really hoping for was that Emerald City would kind of turn into more San Diego, as far as like San Diego, the city of San Diego, embracing the fact that it's Comic-Con. Because if you walk 2 blocks away from the con, like you can not notice that there's Comic-Con going on. There's like no special events going on outside. There's like very few special events. There's a couple concerts and a couple like movie showings. But as far as like San Diego, you can go to San Diego Comic-Con, not buy a ticket for San Diego Comic-Con, and still have like a really fun Comic-Con experience, just because there's so much shit going on in that city that weekend.
but it's also been going on a lot long. San Diego's been going on a lot longer.
But also,
so.
it's a much different town than Seattle, which
That's
is very like, you know, hipster in its nature, and like we don't want to embrace this kind of thing. And that's kind of the other thing that they were talking about, was that part of this like hipster too cool for school camp is invading Comic-Con, and that a lot of cosplayers were getting made fun of this year.
Really?
Yeah, for just like people laughing at their costumes and
shitty.
stuff, and not other people that were dressed up better than them, because there's always been cosplay rivalry of like, my costume is 1,000 times better than yours, and you stapled some wings to your t-shirt. That kind of stuff like has always been inherently negative in the cosplay community. But these are people that were not dressing up, were not comic book fans, did not come to get comics signed. They're friends of friends or friends of creators.
Right.
And I saw firsthand creators, I'm not going to mention the creator, but a creator's friends who are like friends of this artist and probably other artists, just not comic book artists, just like laughing at like behind this cosplayer's back, like
That's
pointing
shitty.
it. And it was really weird because I didn't notice it until they pointed it out, and then they were like, yeah.
Wow.
And it was odd. So I think that kind of stuff is really
I mean, I know that
unfortunate.
there's tension kind of between the cosplay subculture and the people who are like, you're here for the artists.
Yeah.
Like, this is what this con is supposed to be about.
But
And I very much don't truck with that.
No.
Like, I think that the convention is there to celebrate comics culture in all its forms.
yeah, absolutely.
I love all the cosplayers.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's so
it's-
fun to see like characters you know and stuff. Like we saw Darkwing Duck and Launchpad McQuack.
I saw a great
Dude.
couple.
They were so cool.
We
Was
saw
it Scrooge
fucking
McDuck?
Iron Totoro, man.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah, that
I'm
was
pretty
good.
sure that Iron Totoro has been there in years before.
So
Maybe you might be right.
I woke up really late on Saturday morning because I was very hungover, and
No.
after eating at the buffet at the restaurant, I was just like, I still had a headache, I was still hungover, but I'd had enough coffee to sort of get me going. I walked in the back door because our hotel was like on the backside, so I walked through the back door of the convention center into the second floor, and the first thing that happened when I walked in was Lady Gaga's The Applause is blaring in the room that I walked into, and there's just an Ultron on stage like breaking it down, and I was like, I'm not ready for this morning. I'm
That
not
Ultron
ready.
was the very first thing that I saw when I got there.
Yeah.
That was a really good costume.
Yeah, it was great, but I wasn't prepared for the explosion of noise and
Right.
color that was.
Seattle's got cosplay game, yo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I was really impressed. And something I wanted to bring up, I brought up to just about everybody in this room except Chard, who was doing Chard things.
That's
at
what
the
I
time.
do.
Yeah.
Just Chard things.
just
hashtag.
Chard.
Like intrepid girl photographer.
Yeah,
Boy photographer, who cares?
yeah.
No, I really I want you to wear a bow in your hair now. Just, or in your beard. Will you do that for me?
In my beard, yeah, absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
I'll put it right next to my clip-on microphone that hangs out in my beard.
Do it. Do it. is that normally there are staples at cosplay staples at any given con where cosplayers are, and you have your
Harley
slave
Quinn.
layers, you've got
Harley
well,
Quinn.
you've got Harley Quinn and stuff,
Deadpool.
but you've got
A lot of Deadpools.
you've
many
got like
Deadpools.
I was there for all of Saturday, meaning stood in line for the doors to open, and I left at like 7:00. I saw one slave Leia. I saw no female slave Leias. I saw 2 male slave Leias. That's awesome. I mean, I saw the Wonder Womans I saw were much more ornate than in years
There
past.
were a
Yeah.
whole bunch of
Yeah.
people doing the DC Bombshell alternate cover versions
Yeah.
of female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bombshell Black Canary, Bombshell Wonder Woman, Bombshell,
Hawkeye,
Supergirl.
or Hawkgirl.
I saw.
And they all look
I wish
super
there was
good.
a bombshell
Bombshell
Hawkeye.
Please.
Yeah.
I think I saw a steampunk Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, there's
Yeah, I was
always
interested.
Actually,
Interesting.
there were not as many steampunk costumes as last year,
No,
which is a
there
little
weren't.
sad. But
It's interesting
I think,
to see year to year the changes in what's popular. 'Cause,
isn't
like,
there a steampunk con now? Like, isn't
Yeah.
that
There
like
might
kind
be,
of
yes,
yeah?
There's
SteamCon.
SteamCon. It's been going on for a couple of years.
Yeah. Okay. So
But-
also the Supernatural convention was this weekend.
Yes. Which
Did you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, sure.
You're
Well,
the
it
only one
was
here that
it was
could-
interesting because I'm on Tumblr a lot and listening to people who were just like tearing their hair out because I really want to go to the Supernatural convention, but Emerald City is the same weekend, and I want to go to this one, but I want to go to that. And it was really funny. I felt really bad for them.
Yeah.
And it was just poor planning
Yeah.
on behalf of the Supernatural convention because they announced it later than Emerald City did.
Yeah.
And you should have moved it a weekend.
Yeah, it was in Bellevue this weekend, so not too far. I know a couple people that split days. Like
Yeah.
they went on Saturday one place and Sunday another place, but
So, Kirby, how was your con experience?
It was pretty good. I got an awesome sketch thanks to Kayleigh from Adam Warren,
Which we totally tweeted.
Yeah, it's super cool. I'm so stoked on it. And then I talked to Adam Warren, and I was really awkward around him, and he gave me like a sketch thing of like him.
Oh, like a
handing out-
like a roughs page.
Yeah, like a rough sketch. And he like had a pile of them and he was like, you can just have one. And so I looked through them and I found one that had Thug Boy's butt on it.
Nice.
That was like super butt oriented. And I was like, I think this is the one.
Who doesn't love butts?
It was just so much butt. I was like, that's the one. I need that one.
That's a good one to have.
Yeah. And then we talked to Brandon Graham and he was awesome. And he drew Nikolai in my multiple warheads.
Nice.
Like pretty much a full body like sketch of him because we kept talking to him and he just kept sketching, so that was cool.
That's very awesome.
And I saw Jeff Lemire, which I was really excited to do because I've been reading a lot of his books lately and they all make me feel ways about stuff, and I just really wanted to tell him like his books like really made me feel like things that I didn't know I could feel and like all this stuff.
I'm sure that wasn't awkward at all.
No, well, here's the thing: is I went up to him, and I had a book that was mine, and then I had a book that was a friend of mine's. I was getting signed for him, and like as I gave Jeff Lemire the books, this jerk over here started talking to him, and I was like, I really need to tell him that he makes me feel ways about things, and then he just like started signing. I was just like, I really like your work, and he was like, thank you. And then he like sketched and then like gave me the books back, and I was like, oh.
That's lame.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where he could be a very introverted person, so I'm not too upset about it. Like, and then there was that guy that just like started talking to him like off.
Well,
somewhere else.
that's the problem is that's you're not the only person I've like. Our friend and from the preacher episode, Kit, had that problem several times too. And it's just if you're in line getting ready to meet a creator, keep your fucking mouth shut until you're in front of them and let other people talk to them too. Because
he wasn't even in line. He was like in line for somebody else. And he
that's
started
that's the
talking to him,
point.
and I
It's
was
like because that shit. I mean, it's just like it's courtesy. It's not your fucking turn. Let somebody else be, because we're there to meet them. We're not there to fucking hear your questions. You have your fucking 5 minutes, and you can wait for them like everybody else. Like, seriously, people who do that, there's a special place in hell for them, which doesn't exist, so there's not, but it's okay.
I kind of had a similar problem this year. So I went to go meet Jake Wyatt, who's a really awesome guy. And I got to ask him about his comic that has never come out called Necropolis that I'm super excited for. And we got to talk about that. And that was really cool. But as I was talking to him, he was like, how's your con going? And it's like, oh yeah, it's going really good. I got like all the stuff I wanted to get signed, except I brought a couple books by Jamie McKelvey that I wanted to get signed by him. And his line is 1,000,000 miles long. And I don't know if I want to stand in it. And he's like, well, he's standing right next to you. Why don't you just ask him right now? And I look, and Jamie McKelvey's standing like right next to me. And he's like, hey, how's it going? You want me to sign this stuff? And I was like, yes, please. Thank you. And that was really awesome. But then McKelvey and Wyatt started talking. And I'm just standing there like,
Yeah, once they started going industry
and
stuff,
it's like
you just
the
can't.
two of them were just so immersed in their conversation that after like 5 minutes, I was like, okay, bye. Fucking ollie out. And it was like, I didn't want to try and interject into that conversation, which was a little bit awkward. So that's a little unfortunate that I really didn't get to talk to either of them in as much depth as I would have liked. But it was cool that I got my stuff signed without standing in the huge line.
Yeah. I think that's the trickiest thing is you're trying to put all these really big feelings into like a 3 or 4 minute interaction, and it's just like you're trying to say your work makes me feel ways about stuff, real ways about real stuff, and
Stuff and
like,
junk.
it's just, I mean, I actually have gotten to the point where I think it's okay to just be like, you know what, the first time I read this I fucking cried like a baby.
I should have said that to him.
And
That would
like,
have been my feelings.
you know,
Hopefully about one of his comedy books.
yeah,
Like
totally.
just
Like
something
it was
really
so
funny.
bad that like it hurt physically. No, but like because that's really, you know, I think the one interaction I would like to have again, because it probably won't ever have it again, is with Jamie Hernandez, and I just wish I could go back and just be like, instead of going, I really like your work, which I think is the fallback, just go like, you taught me how to read comics again. Like, reading your work changed the way I interact with the medium you work in. And, like, that means more to me than I could ever possibly say. And just be like, thank you, and be off on my way. Because, you know, I think it's really tricky to... I think a lot of us try to sugarcoat it. And we want to sound cool, and we want to, like... But I think it's okay to just lay it all out there and just be like, okay, I'm leaving now. Have a great rest of your con.
We're all nerds here.
Yeah.
Nobody has to pretend to be cool because we
Yeah.
all know we're not.
I'm really cool.
Because I did it
I
with
think you're cool,
Stan.
Kayleigh.
I think you're cool too, Kirby.
Yes.
I guess you're okay.
Um,
Sent your bee demon to fucking stab me in my eyebrow.
Yeah, I did.
I had a good con.
I had a great fucking con. Kirby didn't only get a sketch and to meet Jeff Lemire, she also got a new member of the family, which I will post. I bought, so the whole fucking con, people were walking around with these absolutely adorable little alpaca stuffed animals. And there was this big booth
They're
of
a
them.
thing.
And so before I left, I decided I was going to buy one because I really wanted one. And so I grabbed Kit and I was bringing her downstairs with me to go and buy one. And halfway down, I was like, I'm going to buy this, but there's no way I can keep it. I have to give it to Kirby. And so I picked out this pale yellow one with a red hat and a little bow tie. And it's fucking the cutest thing I've ever seen. And we named it Pepe.
Pepe Roberto.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good name for a llama.
So does anybody have anything else that they want to share from the con?
I have a funny little anecdote.
Go for it.
So I was dressed as Delirium on Friday from Sandman. And people who are familiar with her will know that she doesn't really wear a shirt. She wears a fishnet shirt, and that's it. There's no bra. There's no coverage. There's no nothing. So I cosplayed as her, but I wore a overcoat, and I had like a big bandeau underneath the fishnet shirt. So it was fairly conservative, actually, in what I was wearing. And I was walking around, and I heard somebody say, "Oh my God, somebody needs to tell her to cover her boobs." And I just laughed. That was the funniest thing I had heard, because it was just like...
I talked to you that day and didn't even notice.
Yeah, well,
So-
and it was because it's a shirt. Like, it covers everything is covered, and I'm wearing like high-waisted shorts, and I thought it was hilarious. It's just
Out of
Really?
all the things. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of boobage that happens.
Yeah. There's a lot of boobage that happens in cosplay, and for mine to be the one that was singled out as somebody needs to tell her to cover her boobs, I just lost it. I wasn't even mad.
That is ridiculous.
That's pretty.
Somebody told me to
Pretty crazy.
cover my boobs too, but I was running around with my shirt above my head screaming.
That's fair.
Look
Yeah,
at my
we've told
boobs.
you not to do that anymore.
We also got to
that's
meet
the boss of me.
some fans at our fan meetup,
Yeah, it
Yay.
was awesome.
which was super great.
you,
Thank you,
listeners.
guys who came out.
Gundog and Brian.
Yeah.
We met some more people too. I'm not going to remember everybody's name. And I
Oh, and I
apologize for
totally
that.
flubbed up on the interview I gave Kelly from Out of the Fridge because I fucking was like, Allison and Kelly
Oh,
were
yeah.
there, and I
That's
was
funny.
like, Allison and my brain went Kelly, and immediately went, no, that's not her name, and if you say it, you will be the biggest idiot in the whole world.
And said
And
you were
then
the second biggest
I was
idiot.
the second biggest idiot because I didn't say it, and then they said it, and I was like, God damn it. But that's what happens. I don't know why you gave me the fucking microphone in the first place.
Yeah, for comedy.
Yeah,
we are going
I
to,
gave it to you so you would look foolish,
We are
and we
gonna-
would have it on tape.
We are going to post some video on our
Yes.
YouTube page.
Yeah.
that we
Well,
recorded
yeah.
at the con.
Yeah.
Jesus
So
Christ.
I'm doing a con wrap up for Game of Bomb, so that'll be on Game of Bomb, and some of that will probably end up on our View from the Gutters YouTube as well. So
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't sign any release for any network. I'm gonna need compensation. In
I
the
already
form of
have
1,000
power of
tiny
attorney.
chocolates.
Yes.
Over you.
Yep.
No, you don't.
I
Yep.
do.
No, you don't.
You signed it all away. We told you it was for
Does
free candy.
Will power of attorney prevent me from picking you up and ripping you in half with my bare hands?
Yes.
Yeah, you
No.
cannot hurt your attorney.
Clearly, you're not familiar with the Hulk versus. I don't know. I lost that joke.
Really should have been a She-Hulk.
Yeah,
joke.
that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
That was a
should've been.
missed opportunity.
She-Hulk versus Vision.
Hmm.
I'm sure she.
She signs it Shulk with a smiley face and a heart. Yeah, it was great to meet some listeners, and I got some fun feedback because I was talking to them about it, and met up with a couple other podcasts as well, the Out of the Fridge meetup, and also the local Olympia Arc Reactions podcast. You guys weren't there for that one, but
No.
I met up with them
Oh, yeah.
during the Out of the Fridge.
Yeah, they decided to do theirs in the same place 2 hours later.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they were there for ours and theirs, and I
Yeah.
was there for both. And we got during the 4:00 one, we were what if we were flash mobbed by the D20 brass band.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
man, they
we
were so
outside
cool.
Is
for that,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were great. So I got footage of them. But they were really fun. And then they went and performed out front as well. So
Nice.
props to the Seattle D20 brass band for scaring the absolute shit out of me while I was trying to talk to somebody.
Like you do.
But yeah, it was good. Yeah, I don't know. You guys all got a bunch of stuff. I bought some cool dollar comics, and
I bought a shit ton of the Image firsts for
Yeah.
like $10.
Dude, it
I,
was like they were like I was like, how much is that? And they were like $10. I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah,
That
I
was
bought
me all
like
day.
Black Science, The Fuse, Outcast, which is the new Kirkman,
which is
book,
amazing.
which I bought for $5 because I got it from a 50% off booth. I got a couple more, and then I bought some John Byrne Wonder Woman stuff, or not John Byrne. I'm sorry, George Perez. And
I got this sweet preview copy of Secret Wars Thor Core. That's not coming out till this summer.
Ooh.
So I got that in $1.
Suddenly,
That's-
I'm 16 years old again.
It's actually the Thor Core from the early 90s,
Yeah.
but I had to buy it when I saw it.
Well, it's got Beta Ray Bill.
It's
on
got
it.
Beta Ray Bill
Oh
on the
my
cover.
God,
That's
that's
Thor Core
amazing.
number 1.
That's awesome.
Worth $1 million.
God, I'm jealous.
Lo, there shall be a gathering.
I-
And that is Thor, Beta Ray Bill, and Thunderstrike.
Yeah, and it was in a dollar bin, but on Sunday, hot tip, everything's discounted, so it's 3 for $1. So I got that with some
Nice.
other stuff for $1
Yeah.
for like 30 cents for that issue. So.
Next year, 3 days.
I finally bought Rice Boy from Evan Dom because I've been saying I was going to buy it for like 10 years. And this year I finally did it. And while I was standing at his booth, he had this enormous print of the one electronic from that book for only $10. And I just looked down because I could not bear to look at him and just said, I'm going to need this. Just take all of my money.
Yeah.
And I handed him all of my money.
That's great.
That's fair. That's gone.
That's how it goes.
All right, so we'll have another one of these.
Wait, what about recommendations?
Yeah.
I recommend Emerald City Comic Con.
I recommend Rose City Comic Con next time we do a
Yeah,
con report.
so we'll
Yeah,
do
I also
another con
recommend that.
report in September or whenever Rose City is.
September,
Yes.
like end of September, I think.
Yeah, because I'm definitely going back to that, even if I have to buy a pass this time.
Yeah.
They were kind enough to give us media passes last year, and hopefully we'll do again this year.
Yeah.
Email them and tell them to give it to us.
I'm going to do it.
Yay.
And
No,
hopefully
I
we'll
meant
be
the
able
people
to...
that listen to this show.
Oh, well, they have no input.
Yeah, they don't get to do that. That's weird.
But hopefully we'll get media passes and we'll do a bunch more videotaping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our show, everybody. Special thanks to theouthousers.com for posting our episodes. You can always keep up to date with everything we're doing by checking out our website at viewfromthegutters.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel as we post new videos every week. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at FRTH and please be sure to leave us an iTunes review, as it really does help new listeners find the show. And thanks again for listening, and as always, keep reading.